In this session, we will talk about how you can prepare for the profitable Q4 for the main quarter of the year using good strategies for PPC, for holiday-ready storefronts, deals, and much more. And for that, I will have two great experts, Vincenzo Toscano from Ecomcy agency and Max Hoffman from Bidix. It's a PPC software for optimization. And before I bring those guests to the stage, I wanted to say thanks to five companies which are sponsoring this session. It's a Hero Fulfillment, which specializes in stress-free fulfillment and warehousing in Europe. True Ops provides affordable and comprehensive Amazon reimbursement services. AMZ One Step is an Amazon creatives agency that helps brands grow by creating product photos, videos, and content. VAA Philippines provides expert virtual assistant services for e-commerce sellers. And last but not least, AdSpert, their AI-powered Amazon Ads optimization tool. So let me welcome two experts, Max and Vincenzo, both normally based in Europe. So welcome. And
Thank you.
yeah, let's maybe start with very short introductions, and afterwards Vincenzo will start the presentation, Max will continue, and we will end up with a Q&A. So a few words about Ecomcy, Vincenzo.
Yes, of course. So first of all, Augusto, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here again. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and we specialize in doing full account management for brands on Amazon and Walmart. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. And Max.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having us today, Augustus. So my name is Max Hoffman. I'm one of the co-founders of Bidix. I started my journey on Amazon back in 2015 when I sold baby safety equipment myself on Amazon. I struggled running the ads, but saw how crucial it is. Teamed up with my wife, who studied computer science, and together we built Bidix, a software solution to automate and scale Amazon ads for now over 2,000 brands since over 6 years. So happy to help to boost your margins by lowering wasted ad spend.
And fun fact, 10 years ago, when the reviews on Amazon were legal, official reviews, I remember I was reviewing Max product. At that time, I was not doing anything with Orange Click. I was still programmer.
It was like the first conversation that we had on Facebook Messenger back then, and then later we realized now it's getting serious business and not this review thing anymore.
It was funny when I checked Max from Bidix. I see, oh yeah, he was giving me a product a year ago at piercing. It was like 10 years ago. It was funny. All right. So, yeah, let's start with Vincenzo. I see his slides already. I just wanted to mention to everyone that during the session, if you have any questions, type them in the live chat. If you are watching the replay, type the questions in the comment section below, and we will ask Max and Vincenzo to answer them. And of course, if you would like to support our work, click subscribe and like buttons below. And now, yeah, let's bring Vincenzo to the stage, and Max, we will see you in 15 minutes. So I see your slides. Perfect.
Yeah, thank you, Augusto. So again, guys, thank you so much for being today with us. I'm going to try to give you as much information as possible and tactical insights in terms of how you can have a successful Q4. On today's presentation, I'm going to go through all the things that we do internally with our brands and some of the things that I believe are a must to ensure that not only you have a successful Q4, but you can also make sure that after Q4, you can continue the growth of your brand on Amazon. So very quick introduction about myself, just to extend on what I already said. So I'm the founder and CEO of Ecomcy, where we specialize on growing brands on Amazon. We've been in the space for over 5 years now. Right now, we've got a team of over 60 people, and we manage over 70 brands. We manage a portfolio of over 100 million. So we have a lot of experience when it comes to managing brands, everything in terms of PPC, listing optimization, branding. We have done a lot of things in the good way, and also from that learn a lot of the things that sellers shouldn't be doing. And those are some of the things I'm going to be sharing with you today. I'm also an Amazon seller. My background is actually nothing to do with e-commerce. I'm an aerospace engineer. I jumped into the space pretty much by mistake, start selling on Amazon, as many of you guys are doing as a side hustle. And I've been doing that for over 8 years. I also have a podcast where I interview some of the best minds in the space when it comes to selling on Amazon. And at the same time, I also invest in software solutions in the space when it comes to supporting Amazon sellers. Now, let's dive into how we prepare for Q4, which is the most important thing that we need to take in consideration to then have a successful Q4. I think the most important thing before we jump into Q4 is understand what is the performance the brand has before we enter this period of the year, right? This is something that, just to be transparent with all of you, this is something that you should be doing at least starting in May, June, right? Because you need to understand that when it comes to Q4, it's not something that you're going to figure out and you're going to fix throughout Q4. There are certain things that you can do once you're within Q4, and I'm going to highlight those things throughout the presentation. But a lot of those things take preparation. Therefore, you need to make sure that you understand what is the performance of your brand. And when I say performance, you need to understand what are the budgets that you can allocate for a Q4, what are going to be essentially the inventory that you can allocate for Q4. And also, if you have historical data, this is going to be very important, because what I'm also going to highlight throughout the presentation is understanding what are the bids and the type of campaigns and the type of keywords that worked last year, and how you can reverse engineer that to prepare better campaigns for this Q4. And on top of that, keep up with optimization so you can ensure the momentum of the sales keep up after Q4. Now, when it comes to preparing the PPC strategy, something that you want to make sure that is super important is also understand the trends of your products, because at the end of the day, when it comes to preparing for Q4, a lot of people assume that they're going to have a successful Q4 because that's what you hear in every single webinar or newsletter or talking to other Amazon sellers. But we have to be mindful that this is not always the case for some specific categories. So I'm going to show you throughout the presentation how we can leverage historical data by using things such as brand analytics to ensure that you actually make everything in terms of preparation for inventory, which is going to be the most important thing, based on actually what Amazon gives you in terms of data. Because I see that mistake a lot, people over ordering for Q4, and sometimes if you over order, right, and you assume that you're gonna make X amount of sales because you're being so over optimistic, we know that Amazon, especially with increasing fees and how much you're gonna be paying in storage fees, is gonna be a killer for your profit. And only for that, that might potentially kill your momentum in terms of cash flow, which then in Q1, when you need to sustain the growth of your brand, you're not gonna be able to do that, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, once we start preparing to a Q4, it's also about preparing the PPC campaign. So we know when it comes to PPC, there's many ways of doing PPC in terms of throughout the phase of advertising your product is when we're launching, when we are scaling, when we're focusing on profitability. In Q4, it's all about profitability. We want to avoid anything that's experimental, anything that is into discovery approach in terms of auto campaigns, broad match, phrase match. We want to go really for the keywords that matter for your product. And I'm also going to highlight some of those things in the coming slides. Now, before we jump into everything that I'm going to show you in terms of how you optimize your PPC and how you prepare essentially for Q4, we need to make sure that we also do the keyword research that's going to be the backbone of all these campaigns, right? And some of the things that I highly leverage for Q4 is essentially, the first thing is competitive analysis. So when I say competitive analysis, is I use significantly brand analytics for this. So I have a look at essentially what happened in 2023 for Q4, how my competitors were performing throughout Q4 in terms of who were the best sellers on my main keywords, how they were converting, what were the top 10 keywords that were driving most of the revenue. Then I try to validate that with other external tools such as Helium or Data Dive to make sure that I actually not only validate data coming from Amazon, but also for third-party tools. And then once I combine all the keywords that are significantly being validated by my competition, that's where the money is throughout Q4. I also, if I have some historical data of my own, I also want to go inside within my PPC campaigns and my reports and make sure that I also take that into consideration. And that's going to be our initial starting point or seed to create everything I'm going to be showing next in terms of the campaigns, in terms of making sure you define your brand, in terms of market share, and so on. Now, when it comes to everything that we're going to be talking to in terms of PPC, myself and Max, all this is going to go to waste, guys, if you don't also prepare your listings for Q4. And that's why I want to make a quick pause on this, because this is a huge mistake I see people doing. They invest too much time onto the PPC, which again, yes, is the most important thing, making sure that you target the right keywords, making sure that you have the right usage of budget, and also making sure that you actually also protect your listings throughout Q4. But if all the traffic you're going to send to our listings is going to go to a waste because we're not going to have a good conversion, that essentially is going to make our listing even worse when it comes to performance. Why? Because as I'm going to show you next, conversion and click-to-rate is one of the most important things that Amazon lately and is being taking consideration for organic ranking. Therefore, if we don't take this seriously in terms of making sure that we have the best keywords within our title or bullet points or description, and also invest a lot of time when it comes to our visuals, once the traffic start coming to our listing, even if it's super relevant, if the conversion start dropping, it's going to create a significant issue in terms of organic. Not only from that, also from a semantic point of view, we have seen how Amazon is being putting a lot of emphasis lately on Rufus, and this is a topic that is all across the space in terms of how AI now is essentially perceiving our listings. We have a lot of cases already where, by making sure that we have the right semantic meaning behind the text on our listings in terms of our text and also our images, we're starting to rank better. And if this is also not taken into consideration when essentially Q4, which we are already waiting Q4, people start shopping, not only you're not going to rank properly because you're not converted, but on top of that, if people start using Rufus throughout this phase and your listing is not optimized for Rufus, you're also going to miss out on the opportunity to get that extra juice in terms of traffic, right? Now, some of the things that you need to make sure when it comes to improving a click-to-rate is, just as I briefly mentioned, focus significantly on the message that you give to your consumers. I don't want to go too deep into listing optimization, but super important that you ensure you have the right keywords on your title, bullet points, images, main image. Try to split test a main image as much as possible before Q4. Again, this is not something I will do right now leading to a Black Friday or within Black Friday, because it's already pretty much too late to come up with a decision for the main image. But this is something you need to do weeks in advance. You need to figure out what is the image that drive the most click to your listing, and then within the listing you need to figure out what's the best way when it comes to the copy to convert the client, right? Many tools are out there when it comes to optimizing your main image and actually using audiences to split test that. Some of them are Picful, Product Opinion, IntelliV, all of them very good when it comes to that. So have a look at them and make sure you select the best image so you can leverage the traffic we're going to send with a PPC. Now, this is a very quick example of what are you going to most likely see once you start using a brand analytics. So this is the reason why I want to include these screenshots in here, is because in here you can clearly see on my screen how you can have a look at a specific keywords, what are some of the pros that dominate those keywords, and what is the conversion rate and the click share. And the same here, when you use the search query performance, you can have a look at what is the impression share and also the click share. So the reason why this is going to be very important is because when you have a look at your historical data, or when you're preparing towards Q4, you want to make sure you understand how your competition is converting and how much market share they have, so you can then reverse engineer how that compares to yours and how much you have to improve to make sure you can maximize your Q4 as much as possible. So now let's talk about Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which is essentially next door, right? It's pretty much here. We need to make sure we take this into consideration very seriously, because if not, this could be either one of the best weeks of your selling or one of the worst weeks, right? I see a ton of people doing the mistake of doing things wrong throughout this week, and they lose a ton of money. So the first thing you have to do when you prepare for a Black Friday and Cyber Monday is understanding what is the budget you're going to allocate for it, right? You need to understand what is the amount of extra PPC budget you want to use throughout these days to maximize the traffic that comes to your platform and try to convert it to your listing. I see so many times the mistake from people assuming that because they're going to spend so much more, they're going to make so much many sales, and that's definitely not the case. You need to put a cap into how much you're willing to spend. For example, if you're spending usually $100 per day on PPC, and let's say throughout Black Friday and Cyber Monday, you might say, okay, throughout these specific days, I'm going to increase my budget to 200 or 300 max, and once I reach that limiter, which you can put a limiter on the account at the daily basis, my PPC is going to go off. Because if you just leave it open with the hope that you're going to maximize your sales, most likely you're going to spend a lot without receiving the best return on your investment, because the cost per click usually tends to be the highest throughout these days. And given that people is doing a lot of window shopping comparing deals, usually unless you are a very big brand in terms of recognition where you compare people very efficient, I usually that's something that I don't recommend. The other thing is everything that has to do with inventory, right? You need to also understand how you're going to locate your deals throughout Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Another mistake I see is people offering huge amount of deals because they want to have a huge amount of sales. But then if you essentially blow your whole inventory throughout this week, right, what is going to happen? Not only you're going to be remaining with not enough inventory for maybe the remainder of Q4, which is Christmas and those weeks that could be very good for you. But what about Q4? Remember that Q4 is also a period that you could be making sales, and then you have the Chinese New Year. And then if you're left without inventory for a long period of time, all this effort that you put to creating all these sales, yes, they look good on paper, but most likely your profits are going to be very low because they high discount. And then you don't have the cash flow to buy the next batch of inventory to keep the momentum of sales on Q1 and Q2. So make sure you don't get blind by Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Reverse engineer how much budget you can allocate, the deals that you can put to essentially generate the sales that you can afford from inventory perspective, and make sure that then once you understand those things, that's the limiter you're gonna marry to. Don't get blind by the numbers. You start seeing all these sales start increasing the budget, because I have done that mistake many times, and usually you're just gonna end up losing money. Now, something I'm gonna do a quick highlight is how we can leverage Amazon Analytics in terms of the optimization throughout the PPC. So some of the things I spend a lot of times when it comes to brand analytics is understanding what is the search performance, the conversion rates, and the search terms I need to focus on, which is what I briefly told you at the beginning of this presentation. I really need to understand what the search terms I need to go for, because throughout this specific phase, as I say, I try to avoid anything that's experimental. I want to go where the data is telling me that the money is. So, for example, within brand analytics, you have access to these streaming reports, right? You have the search catalog performance report, the search query performance report, and the top performance keyword report. Now, why I mentioned this and then at the I say historical data? Because you can go back in time, right? So whenever we prepare all our brands for Q4, we have a look at 2023 or 2022. We have an understanding what happened throughout Q4 for this specific niche. We understand what is the average conversion, what is the average essential market share control of some of these competitors, who are the main competitors, and then we use that for optimizing our listings, as I already explained, making sure we have the best keywords on the title, the bullet points, the backend, also see what kind of content they're using for the images, reverse engineer that to ours to make sure we have a very good conversion. And then when it comes to PPC, we make sure that if they have a very high control in terms of impression share and click share on the keywords that essentially bring most of the revenue, we need to figure out how we're going to actually increase that market share towards our yard, right? A very quick win that we do is by identifying the best sellers that have the highest market share control in terms of impressions and clicks. You can do a pro targeting campaigns on their listings, and essentially, given that they're already doing the heavy lifting of bringing all those impressions and clicks to their listings, you can steal the traffic with sponsor pro campaigns or sponsor display campaigns that essentially, once they're in their listing, they will see your products and potentially they could come to your listings. So this is a screenshot of I wanted to add, where you can clearly see how you can do data ranges, and that's the power of brand analytics. You can go in time, you can put specific keywords that would relate to your specific product, and then you will see what was the performance throughout that period, and reverse engineer which were the main competitors, and go from there, as I've been explaining. Now, some of the things that I use brand analytics for is not only to prepare things in terms of essentially my keywords and how to optimize my conversions so on, but also optimize for inventory, right? Because as I already say, a lot of the mistakes when it comes to Q4 usually I have to do with inventory. People overspending in terms of putting too much cash flow into tied to inventory, or sending too much inventory to Amazon. Then that inventory is going to be sitting there. You're going to pay over storage fees, and on top of that, that's cash flow that you could have used for your PPC to actually sell the inventory faster and keep the momentum going, right? So the way you will do that is you will have a look at what were essentially the amount of sales that these keywords and these competitors were doing historically on this specific period of the year, in this case Q4. And then of course you will also extrapolate that to your historical data. You will have a look at what was your performance last year, and then that's usually the amount of inventory I recommend having in hand. Usually add a 10 to 20% increment on top of that to make sure that, given that usually we want to grow year after year, you have a safety margin that if your performance is going to be better, which is usually what we aim for, you're going to be covered for that, right? And the last one is pricing as well. So we've already been talking about PPC, which is building up in terms of keywords and how we can optimize for that. But pricing is also a very important thing. Pricing usually is going to fluctuate from year to year. If we take in consideration inflation, or if we take in consideration competitors coming to the space or driving the to the bottom, you need to understand how pricing is fluctuating from one year to another, specifically throughout different seasons of the year, in this case Q4. So you want to make sure that your price is competitive, so you can actually have a big chance to convert in the traffic to your brand. Now, let's start diving now a little bit into more the technicality of your PPC, right? Some of the things that is going to be super important here, and this is something that, again, you should be doing. If you haven't done, you should be doing now after the webinar. You need to go into your PPC. You need to make sure you identify what are the best keywords right now that are converting for you in terms of click-through rate and conversion rate. I need to make sure those are the ones we're going to be focusing for when it comes to Q4, right? Now, on top of that, you need to make sure you understand the bid structure around all of them, right? Because Q4 is usually not the period where I recommend that you go super aggressive on bids just for the sake of visibility. You need to find the right threshold between performance and also essentially exposure, right? This is something that you need a lot of optimization. This is not a one set and forget. A bid optimization you need to do on a regular basis, and therefore you need to find what is that specific bid that's going to give you the right placement exposure, the right conversion, and at the same time it's going to be profitable for you, and then it's refined. And this is a full loop. It repeats itself over and over again, and that's why you need to also keep an eye on your competition to ensure as they adjust their PPC, you also reverse engineer and adjust your PPC according to them. Now, I think I want to give as a tip in terms of how you can have an optimized kind of way of handling your PPC. It's also the structure behind them. I see this mistake all the time when I do audits on brand. The whole account doesn't have a structure, and the issue is like when you do optimization, especially on Q4, that you need to be very methodical and very efficient and fast to do things to the point. If you don't have proper grouping of campaigns, that means you have proper way of segmenting if this campaign is doing exact match only, first match only, broad match only. This is a single keyword campaign. This is doing top placement. This is doing a product targeting campaign, and that's not clearly determined within the name. That's going to be super difficult for you to optimize, and that goes back to the initial of my presentation, which is the mistake most people do, which is not handling budget properly. If your structure is all messy, how are you going to be able to know within a few minutes how to distribute your budget? You're not going to have a clear understanding if this campaign, based on this performance that you're going to have on the dashboard, based on ACOS ROAS, that's the budget I need to increase for, because the name is all over the place, and the group is not done correctly. So focus a lot into that, make your campaigns as clean as possible. Usually within the name, you want to make sure that within 1 second I know what the campaign is doing, what keyword I'm targeting, what product is. Therefore, I can adjust the budget there on the dashboard and be very methodical for that. Now, another thing that's very important when it comes to structuring the campaigns is segmentation also of keywords. A big mistake I see people doing, putting too many keywords on the same campaign, and on top of that, not segmenting based on search volume. You want to make sure that if you're targeting keywords of 10,000 search volume on a campaign, they're not putting the same campaign with a keyword that has a 1,000 search volume, because the 10,000 is going to eat all the budget, it's going to take all the traffic, and you can go right now on your account and check it out. You're going to see most likely you're going to have many keywords that have all the budget, 1-2 keywords, and the rest no expense at all. Usually that's because you're combining high search volume with low search volume, or there are many keywords. Now, this is essentially highlighting in more detail what I just said as a selection of keyword, tracking performance, and making sure the bits are optimized based on the KPIs that you will define, and then repeat the process over and over. And now I want to start jumping more into some strategies I recommend when it comes to our Q4. So some of the things I recommend is using also brand defensive campaigns. I see a lot of brands not doing this. So this would be defending your brand search terms during Q4. Competitors attack this significantly because they know on top of doing strategies on Amazon, clever brands do things also outside of Amazon because of seasonality with social media, influencers, newsletter, all of that. So they're going to target your brand search terms. They're going to also target significantly your product details pages. So you need to create a strategy where not only you defend your brand search terms, but when it comes to your product details pages, if your catalog is big enough, once people land on your product details pages, that's going to be the only thing they see, and you create that full brand loop effect. Now, the other thing I see people not using a lot is broad modifier. This is one of the best friends when it comes to Q4. Some of the things I have seen is, as I say, you don't want to use too much auto phrase and broad campaigns during Q4 because of the huge spectrum this type of targeting will give to your campaigns. But when you use broad modifier, it basically caps the system to allow you to find keywords where the keyword has to be within the search term that the campaign generates. For example, if I have plus yoga plus math, the system is gonna maybe find me for a yoga mat for park, right? The yoga mat has to be embedded within the phrase itself. So if I put my main 2 or 3 keywords that define my product with the plus or as part of the campaign, the broad campaign is going to be very, very accurate. And on top of that, given that a lot of people during Q4 might create long-tail keywords to describe a product, you might end up finding some winning keywords given due to this broad modifier campaign. So these are super powerful throughout Q4. The other ones that I also use is auto campaigns, but with auto campaigns, I'm also very strategic. What I try to do here is use all my historical data for my last 2 years and also for brand analytics, and I try to identify what the keywords that effectively I have to go for in terms of sales, and on top of that, the ones that haven't been performing, and I try to cap with a negation within the automatic campaign to the point that the auto campaign is only built to discover things that I haven't found with my manual campaigns. It's going to be a net, essentially. That net that's going to try to catch things that I didn't find with brand analytics, I didn't find with intent, I didn't find with data, and so on. So the reason why I use auto campaign for Q4, as I said, similar with broad modifier, given the influx of traffic that comes to Amazon and people trying to type to find products, usually you might encounter new terminologies of describing your product that might be new essential loopholes for you to explore within your category, and you can significantly get extra traffic from those small keywords as well. Now, negation, super important. Make sure you use this significantly throughout Q4, specifically when you have historical data. You know already what works, what doesn't work. Make sure you cap your campaigns as much as possible, so you limit the exposure to the keywords that you know are going to give you the best conversion, and therefore it's going to give you the profitability that you're looking for in Q4. Now, another thing I want to also mention is day parting. Day parting is also going to be one of your best friends when it comes to Q4. The reason for that is simple. We see a lot of window shopping when it comes to Q4. Therefore, you're gonna find and you're gonna start finding a lot of patterns, right? It's specifically building towards Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and after that. Therefore, if you start identifying patterns that people shop your product specifically during the morning, during the afternoon, or with specific days of the week, which we have found for brands, for some of our brands. Like quick example, we had a kitchen brand that we identified people were only buying during lunchtime and dinner time, and when we reverse engineered that also by using Amazon Marketing Cloud, we identified that that's because that's usually the time of the day where people is cooking, and therefore they connect their thoughts, I'm missing this item in my kitchen, go to Amazon and buy it. Therefore, try to use some of these insights to leverage your budget, and it's going to ensure you can bypass the issue that most people have, that given the high CPC, they're not able to stay on budget throughout the whole day, and therefore they're missing out on sales. The other thing, you want to make sure you're very proactive on adjusting your PPC. Have always an eye on your competition. Brand analytics is super useful for that. You can have weekly reports. We download weekly reports for all our brands, and then we try to always see what the competition is doing, and based on that, we reverse engineer and adjust our PPC and our copy and essentially whatever we're doing with pricing to make sure that we always stay as competitive as possible. Now, the other thing that you want to do, guys, is all this conversation and the webinar we're going to be listening today is only about how you can leverage PPC to optimize in terms of sales and, of course, making sure you get the best return on investment. But remember, the data you get from PPC is not only meant to make sales today, it's also the future of your brand. I can tell you how many times with the data I get from my PPC and also the data I get through a Q4, I'm able to actually expand my product catalog, because sometimes identify customer search terms within my reports through a Q4 of things that relate to my product, but I'm not satisfied with a feature or variation, and that give me insights to launch a new product. At the same with brand analytics, as I download the report Q4, there's new search terms that define certain needs in my category and I'm not satisfied, and that's an opportunity. So use those insights not only to negate and essentially clean your campaigns, but actually as insights. Oh, somebody's looking for a yoga mat for the park, but my yoga mat is only meant to be used indoors. Maybe I need to launch a yoga mat for outdoors, right? That kind of thought process. And the other thing I would say is when it comes to PPC, this is something, guys, you need to stay on top of it. So the reason why I wanted to add this slide is stay always learning when it comes to PPC. Go to webinars like this. There's a ton of content when it comes to YouTube, podcasts. This is something that is evolving week after week. And I go to a lot of events, Max as well, and we know this every single month, pretty much Amazon announce something new. So if you're not on top of that, your competition is going to, and that can be the difference between you or your competitor winning Q4. So that's everything from me. Thank you so much for having me. Feel free to scan my QR code here. We're more than happy to jump with my team to explore how we can successfully scale your brand on Amazon. And other than that, I'm going to answer some of your questions for the end of the webinar. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Vincenzo. Yes, we still see your slide. All right, let's bring Max to the stage. Max, are you ready? Yes, you're ready. Okay, see you, Vincenzo, very soon. And while Max is sharing his screen, I will mention again that if you enjoyed the content, click like. And also, if you have questions for Vincenzo, he covered so many different topics. I like that. And if you will have additional questions for Max, type them in live chat. If you're watching the replay, type them in the comment section below.
Good. Then
Okay.
also, hello everybody
Yeah.
from my side. We are going to identify how you can unleash the power of data for the best fourth quarter of the year that you ever had. And so we will have a look at how to maximize sales and dominate through the upcoming 4 weeks, I'd say, with a lot of things that you would have needed to do earlier, but also like a lot of things that we've heard earlier today that are really possible to implement on a short notice. So again, my name is Max Hoffman. I'm one of 3 co-founders here at Bidex. We started in 2018 with a solution for our own product, and with Nadine, my wife, she studied computer science as a second co-founder, and Dominic, who became our CTO later on. There's a third one, and we do have now a team of 45 team members, most of them over here in Europe, but also a subsidiary in the States. So today, we will have a look at how you're going to master the basics. So stock and logistics is really important, especially during Q4, because you do have like so much opportunities over there. And it's also like a big impact on your margins. We will have a look at how to analyze the data from last year, which seasonal keyword strategies you can make use of, how you can leverage the deals, coupons, and special offers. And we structured the slides in a way that they also can be used as a guide. So even if you just download the slides afterwards, you can share them internally, and there's like a lot of text written in it. So it's like a documentation on its own. And in addition, you get the video. And in addition, we will have a look at how to scale campaigns and budgets for the festive rush and also have a look into what's coming up with Amazon Marketing Cloud, custom audiences, and so on. So stay tuned. Mastering the basics, stock and logistics. So when it comes to stock and logistics, it is really important that you identify, if you sell the product year over year, that you learn from your demand over the years. So it is much, much cheaper to have like more stock in inventory than missing out on potential sales. And also we realized that ourselves, we start to shop quite late. So maybe only beginning of December, mid of December, where we do most of our shopping purchases. But we realized when we have been selling on Amazon ourselves that many already start like early November. And right now they are already like quite busy shopping. And so if you ship, then make sure it arrives like early November. And this means that you probably need to start planning for Q4 6 months earlier to have like everything in place. So as soon as this Q4 is over, then you do have a little bit of rest, but probably you should start already then for Q4 in 2025 to get all of the products in stock. And you can also then include all of the learnings that you made regarding inventory levels this year. And also removals and returns are a big margin killer. So we have many customers where by reducing the amount of returns, they didn't change a lot in top line sales, but they drastically reduced the cost that they have for removal shipping, as well as for the products that have not been working. And sometimes it's like just small manuals, video tutorials, just support. If you, for instance, just make sure that if your product needs a manual, put a sticker with a QR code to download the manual on a place where people need to remove it. So in that way, they have like a physical contact with, for instance, your support or your manual, and you can make sure to reduce the amount of returns that you will receive due to lack of understanding how to do it. And then, of course, like regularly check the details of your returns, so to make sure that you learn from issues that might come up, or from, we had like a packaging that was not very strong, and so the packaging broke during shipping, and that was like the reason why things have been returned. So just changing the packaging to a packaging that was more durable reduced like our return rate by like 25%-ish, and that was like a big profit margin increase for us. And also make sure to check how Amazon is handling returns, what they do, if they're going to destroy it, if they're going to send it to you, and so on. Just check the liquidation process and removal process and so on. So how to analyze and optimize. And with Amazon Brand Analytics, it's already out for like many, many years, but they kept on improving and adding more and more data over time. So even though you are familiar, like everybody who has used Amazon Brand Analytics in the past, can you just add in the chat, I used it? So then we get like an understanding of how many already used it, and also like how many did not. And it is a free tool as soon as you have like the brand registry. And as mentioned before, if you looked it up like 2 years ago or last year, look into it again, because they added so many more information where they don't put out like big announcement, but like small improvements that will help you to better understand the search query performance and how the search volume is developing over time, and so on. So what we recommend over here is to search for the search query performance report filtered for November and December of last year. Download the both reports. And these reports are actually showing you the first party search query score and volume data. So when you go to Jungle Scout or Helium 10, you get only estimates. Over here for your own brand and keywords, you get like first party data, which is like the highest quality that you can get. And what we then would suggest and recommend you to make use of is low impression share percentage, but like a high conversion rate and a high CTR. So there you have keywords that actually fit quite well to the audience that you are showing the keywords to and the product to, but where you currently are lacking behind because you might have too low bids or you might have like too low budgets whatsoever. And these have like high potential. And you can also, like as a bonus tip, just compare November and December data to find like and identify which keywords really get a boost over these 2 months, because we have a lot of seasonal keywords that are only active in Q4, and then like afterwards they are just plummeting. And search query performance is great, but it only shows you keyword data for your own product and from your brand and the keywords that you are targeting. For the top search term in general, you can always make sure of brand analytics to really identify what's going on in the category. And nowadays with ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, you do have all the AI capabilities to also like filter large sets of keywords and just ask about like what are most important Q4 keywords. And then if you download the report and you get like 800,000 rows kind of, ChatGPT or Claude will help you to break that down to like the most important that are like seasonal relevant. So these AI technologies are your friends and will help you to boost productivity and the results that you're getting. And so what we recommend is go to Brand Analytics, download like the top search term report for November and December 2023 data, go through the top keywords or upload them to an AI, look for top competitors and find the top keywords, add relevant keywords and filter for specific keywords that include the filter word and get all the potential keywords that you should then add. And in addition, you can track the share of voice through the weekly search query performance reports, or you can track them also like with other solutions out there to track keyword rankings. There are like a bunch of third-party solutions that also will provide you this share of voice analytics and how you compare it to competition. The next then is the keyword strategy and how you are going to adjust the targeting for this seasonal opportunity. So if you look at the search volume that you do have over time, then you realize that it is like very important to push a lot of keywords before Christmas, like to push keywords now actually, because you realize that demand is ramping up and probably like December 10th, December 14th, something, it will peak. And then it will plummet. It will be very calm until like Christmas. And when you realize like this item is going to arrive after Christmas, this is like a killer for conversion rate then. You can be happy if you live like in an area where it's like next day, same day shipping whatsoever. So you can sell a little more over there. But then we see like 24th, 25th, this is like the calmest days of the year. And then after Christmas, everybody got like gifted Amazon gift cards and they received money, and like a lot of purchasing is happening post-Christmas again. And then also like in January is like not that bad, because like many people have like goodwill for the upcoming year. And then there are like many product categories that have like the strongest month, not in December during Q4, but actually like during January. And so what you can do over here is you can identify the search volume trend over time. You can, again, track and push the ranking of those keywords that will probably convert the best and are like most important. And this not only works like now for holiday, but you can do so for all seasons. So also like for Easter, for instance, you can make use of the search volume and development over time. And again, like share of voice, what you do is like you track organic and paid ranking. There is like a differentiation of share of shelf, which many reference as like the total one, and the share of voice, which is much rather referred to the paid one. But there's no unified language for that. And also, it was mentioned before, if you leverage day parting, you are able to increase bids and budgets based on the time of the year, but also, like, for instance, for Black Friday to boost during the Cyber 5. Black Friday, Thanksgiving, Cyber Monday. But you can also, for instance, schedule your boost activities with our solution based on the keyword ranking. So if you realize, okay, paid ranking as well as organic ranking, you are top of search, then it might make sense like to reduce the bid a little bit, because it will save you a lot of money, and again will increase your margins, but you will lose out of a lot of total sales actually at the end. And then what we do not see quite often, and what probably only very few people are doing, is to adjust your images to the theme that we are having. Amazon released at Amazon Unboxed in Austin the studio, the AI image studio, and it's like a creator for assets, for images, as well as for videos, and as well as for audio actually. And they just need like your product detail page as an input. And then you can use prompts as you are used to when you work with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, and you can add like holiday themed images around your product. And what we've really seen is now, just when we've had Halloween, that brands who are very successful adjusted their main images to like a holiday themed main image, which of course is going to increase conversion rate in those days with like a lot of traffic. And you stay ahead of competition because very few people actually like test the main image, and even fewer people are going to adjust the main image, maybe even like a tested main image if you use like a service like Pickthrough or IntelliView for the holiday season, for instance. And again, you can do so for all the different seasons, and you will help to boost the engagement, increase your visibility, drive more conversions, and build like more and better and bigger loyalty. So maximizing sales also by leveraging the deals, coupons, and special offers. We do have many different options to run deals and coupons and so on nowadays on Amazon. So every type does have like its own criteria, how much discount it needs to have, when you need to apply for it, how much inventory you need to have, and so on, and also like how much it costs. And we just summarized a lot of the information over here. If you should run like a best deal, a lightning deal, or short-term boost in sales, long-term brand exposure, coupon, we always identify these activities as ads. At the end, it's like an ad. And so if you reduce, for instance, your product price for with a coupon, you always need to think about, if I would spend that money on ads, would I get like a similar result, like sell more at the same price? Or can I make use of a coupon and maybe like pause ads or like reduce bits and budget, because I realize like the lower price is much more competitive? What we see is like, if our brands leverage both, then they get like tremendous amount of sales, but the profits and the margins are tiny. So you just need to find the right balance. If you just want to get rid of inventory, it's great to sell off, but it's like difficult nowadays to really provide the discount and also like to heavily push with ads. Most of the time, much rather pick one or the other than try to both, if you want to also like make some profit at the end of the day. But in general, it's like great. It helps you to increase the visibility. It helps you to broaden your viewability on Amazon, because you are suddenly now on the deal pages and not only in your category and search term based environment. And it, of course, like improves the conversion rates. If you get like a product that is not often on sale or doesn't often offer a discount, you can get it cheaper. Then you realize, okay, maybe many of the potential customers already added to the wish list or added the item to the cart, and they are not just waiting for Black Friday to then purchase it. And Amazon released Amazon Marketing Cloud for sponsored products, so for PPC only, last week. And by leveraging custom audiences that you are able to create with Amazon Marketing Cloud, you can directly target everybody that actually added the item to the cart or added the item to the wish list. And this actually helps you a lot to not really neglecting one or the other, but like to be more precise in who you are going to show the ads, and then to have the possibility to maybe lower your ads and budget in general, but like boost bids for everybody that is like in your audience that does have like a very high likelihood to convert. And you can target, for instance, everybody that added like the product to the wish list or to the cart within the last 30 days or last 60 days. And then these should have like a higher boost for the keyword that they are searching for. And with the Prime exclusive discount, we have the possibility to promote especially or just for Prime members. And we see from Amazon data that Prime members in general have higher conversion rate and have like higher average baskets and also buy like more frequently. So actually they are like one of your best audiences. And so it makes sense to also leverage the Prime exclusive discounts if you realize that you can get a lot of incremental sales by putting those in front of these high value customers. And what Amazon also released is brand tailored promotions. So with the brand tailored promotions for brand owners, and most of you, I guess, have a registered brand, you get like the possibility to, for instance, acquire new customers or to also target brand basket abundance. And this really enables you to get another step where there are like top brands making use of it, but like a lot of brands are not leveraging the possibilities that Amazon is providing you nowadays. And it's like at no additional fee. So it provides you like a good visibility in addition to not having also like paying Amazon again. Because like you pay Amazon for shipping, you pay Amazon for storage. They get like the commission if you sell an item. So they get a lot of the pie. They enable you to sell and to present your brand in front of like a super broad audience, and everybody who built his own D2C site, who is like successfully established a brand of Amazon, knows actually how hard it is to build a brand and also like to buy cold traffic on social media, on Facebook, on TikTok, and so on, and then realize that yes, Amazon is expensive, but it is like so much work and so expensive to build that amount of traffic that is visiting Amazon every single day to your own D2C site, that it might make sense to leverage Amazon's capabilities in the beginning, and only as you max out, then to step ahead. And so next would be scaling campaigns and the budgets for the festive rush. So what we have is the possibility to exclude seasonal data, for instance, now Black Friday, Cyber Monday, from our automation. And we also suggest to do so if you now look at the amount of bids and budget adjustments that you are going to make, that you either check data from last year to come up with recommendations and data, but like to have an adjustment afterwards, not infected by Cyber 5, because like over there, you will have really good conversion rate, really low ACoS, but it will be a little bit fake because you are also running different kind of promotions and people are just doing a lot of the Christmas shopping during that time. So just build like an average, but much rather exclude it then and make like use of year-over-year data to set the bids for these high peaks and deal days. And what we also recommend is that you build custom dashboard where you then focus everything that you have now for winter and Christmas season in general. So you directly identify what part of your business is currently in season, where you need to put like an extra amount of focus on it, and what is like the rest of the business doing where it can run as usual, and then much rather focus off if you have any peaks or every lows in the products that you are actually currently promoting and where you currently have the season where it is like really important. And so then what's next? We launched AMX 500 during COVID. It is like Amazon Market Index. It's free. It's amx500.com, where you get an overview of what is the current trend on Amazon actually. So it combines sales, click-through rate, conversion rates, clicks and sales into one index. It is a little bit like S&P 500, Amazon Market Index 500 of 500 large advertisers on our platform. And you can easily compare how they're performing currently and also like on a daily level during Cyber 5, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Thanksgiving, to your own brand. What are the CPCs? What are the conversion rates? And you can identify then if you're doing like above average, below average. And if you see you have certain areas where you're above average, you realize you can push more, you can invest additional budget. If you identify, oh, over here we have some products that are like much below average, then maybe much rather reduce bets over there. And this also then provides you an overview of how January is performing. And as mentioned, like beginning of January is actually as good as like second week of December, kind of like. And we see like on Christmas, we have like the lowest amount, which less than half of the average of the month of December. And then like after Christmas, it's going up again to like, then like Sylvester, New Year is again low. But then like the January month is pretty stable and straightforward. And as already mentioned, I have like a bonus of the Amazon Marketing Cloud, how you can access the path to conversion. So that enables you to identify which steps our customer actually taking until they convert and to visualize this journey. And this helps you to understand how long does it take until a conversion is happening, how many new to brand customers do you reach, for instance, if you're running sponsored brand ads. And this is now available for PPC only. It was available for DSP quite a while and have like a combined overview. And we are like one of 8 global partners that have been in a pioneering group from Amazon that is enabling like access to that. And it really helps you to then build custom audiences of the most profitable visitors. And that is available through Amazon DSP. And it was only available through Amazon DSP in the past, but now it's also available for PPC only. And as mentioned before, target people who added the products to the wish list but did not purchase now. Target people who added the product to the cart but did not purchase now. This is how the AMC looks like in the backend. It's like a query instructional thing, super complicated. But there are like some instructional query that make it easy, and also like to build that default audiences where you can just remarket customers that added, like that viewed the product but did not purchase. And what we do is like we leverage all the AMC data. We provide you free access to the instance, and we also like automatically push these most promising default audiences to your Amazon sponsored ads console. So you can then like leverage the audience bit boosting for the keywords that are like most important. And as mentioned, it's like completely free. We create the AMC instance for you, and we will push the cart abundance, the added to wish list, as well as like viewed but did not purchase, these 3, as well as like close lookalikes and broad lookalikes. And this really helps you to increase the margins that you do have with ads, because you can lower the bids in general, but then like set a boost for everybody that is in the audience and bid like more for those where you know the conversion rate is probably much, much higher. And it is like available since November 15th. So it's just available since 5 days. And you can really leverage that now in the upcoming 3 weeks. It takes about 7 days to launch it. That was it from my side, and also looking forward to the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Max. We have a few questions. I will bring Vincenzo back. So yeah, I will keep slide, not anymore. I wanted to keep a little bit, but it was enough for people to take a picture of your code. And before we move on to a few questions, we're already 1 hour into the webinar. So I just wanted to quickly mention that together, this session is part of the virtual summit called Seller Fest Online, and together with 20 plus, I think 24 speakers participating in this event. We created a VAP package with additional videos. Every expert sent us an extra recording with additional strategies, templates, sheets, and tips. And if you want to get access to those, you can find the link below in the description. And I will show you here as well. And I wanted to ask maybe Vincenzo, what did you share in your VP video?
Yeah.
I will show you video.
So in our video, basically showcase how we can make usage of Amazon comprehend and also all the understanding of Rufus, so you can optimize your listing in terms of how you also leveraging Amazon recognition. As you can see in the screen, you can understand how Amazon sees your images in terms of what is the text that is embedded within your images, what Amazon perceives from the lifestyle images, and then reverse engineer that to make sure that the images actually reflect your avatar and what Amazon wants to see. So whenever Rufus recommends your product, does it based on what actually Amazon understands your product is actually trying to deliver to your consumers. So it's making sure you reverse engineer the AI behind Amazon. Yeah.
Thank you, Vincenzo. And Max, what was your video about?
So we did a deep dive on the data that you are able to access with the search query performance report. And we have added many use cases where you get like a step-by-step tutorial, what you need to download, what you need to look for, and then what you can to start advertising, or what you can start like to increase bids, lower bids. And this is like super powerful. And we also like shared one keyword research solution that changed our life quite a lot, and everybody who is working with customers. And it was like super, super helpful to identify like new promising keywords.
Cool. Thank you very much, Max and Vincenzo. And yeah, once you get access to VAP package, you will get into members area where you will find all the videos and then you can play them and watch. Link is in the description below. And now let's have a few questions. I see we have question from I will start backwards. I will say Bleble once says same question as Rahul Yogi. And what is the question by Rahul Yogi? And the question by Rahul is, while doing keyword research in Helium 10, what type of keywords do you prefer? Top 5-10 with highest search volume, or long tail keywords with low competition? What if product is highly competitive?
Yeah, I can go first, and then if Max, you can also share your insights. So from my side, usually it also depends on what is the cycle of the product, because if it's during launch phase, it's completely different that we're focusing on profitability. I'm assuming that is going to be during launch phase, this question. So when it comes to launch, it's all about getting our sales and our conversion on our main keywords. I understand that a lot of people like to go for the long-tail keywords at the beginning, but at the end of the day, you also need to create the momentum that's going to sustain the growth of your brand. And therefore, my goal is to go for the keywords where I have the highest chance to convert. And that's where relevancy also becomes a very, very important thing to answer your question. So it's not only about search volume, because there is a lot of keywords that have a lot of search volume, but the intention behind the keyword is not the highest. Therefore, I will try to focus on what are the keywords that have the highest intention. Then as a second, in terms of priority, what are the keywords that have a significant amount of search volume? And then the third thing I will put into the mix is how do I make sure I have as much conversion and sales on these keywords as possible. So, and usually the answer for that is having a very aggressive pricing structure when it comes to launching. And on top of that, making sure that your product is actually conveying and offering something to the market that is actually better than the competition. So usually the best keywords that I go for, I don't focus on long-tail keywords at the beginning, because if you do that, you're not going to sustain the momentum that you need to scale the brand forward. Yeah.
Thank you. And we have another question. Actually, I wanted to ask a question. Since you talked about a holiday, and of course now it's Q4, it's very important to do some specific tactics and strategies. And what post-holiday adjustments would you recommend for Amazon advertising campaigns and listings to have this momentum going. Max, do you have some ideas?
Yeah, so when you remember the AMX 500 slide, you see that like the bottom was like Christmas, and afterwards it went up again. We had like New Year's a little bit bottom, but then like January going up again. So what we recommend is everything that you set up now for the season, you might be able to pause that again until the next season is coming. And then if you like decrease bits in budget for campaigns that have like much rather generic targeting, you can put them back into the default setting kind of after Christmas. And then like you don't need to wait until the next season is approaching, because as mentioned, you need to start planning with the inventory like 6 months ahead. So start already like analyzing how did it perform this year compared to last year. Adjust like the keywords, make recommendation for the keyword bits and budget that you can make use of the next year. Also like write down the amount of inventory that you sold, and make use of all the data that you just gathered, and do a lot of the homework that many do just like before they need to do it already right now, because all of the information and memory is fresh.
All right. Unless Vincenzo has something to add.
No, I would say I agree with what Max is saying. Something I feel is also important to take in consideration as a post-holiday adjustment is you need to make sure that everything that you did from a PPC perspective, you log it, right? And you keep track of what are the things you adjusted for Q4. That's something I see people also forgetting sometimes. Like if you did certain strategies that were meant for a Q4 protection of your branded search terms, or to keep control of certain placements, or to be more aggressive on specific keywords, or you stop certain campaigns because they were experimental, make sure you keep a log of all those things, because then January comes and you still are in Q4 mode, that you might end up still keeping the aggressiveness that you don't need for Q4, and therefore overspending for a period that is actually not meant to have those kind of strategies. So it's very important to keep a log of all the things that you did for Q4, so you can then readjust for Q1. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. David is asking, could you briefly explain how sponsored display reach targeting works? As we have noticed that it usually gets more orders than clicks.
Yeah, first, Max. Yeah.
Yeah. So with like sponsored display, if I got the question right, you can select like if you want to have a CPC targeting or like a VCPN targeting, and then you can also like leverage the behavioral targeting, where you can focus on the reach. What we always recommend is make use of sponsored display in the beginning and these strategies, but they lack a lot of like precise control, and much rather than leverage Amazon DSP capabilities that you do have, because like we with like Amazon DSP, you get like the possibility to much precisely more control the frequency cap, for instance, on which device type you would like to have an increase or decrease. Also, like all of the analytics are like much more granular. And so we can recommend to start like with sponsored display in the beginning, and also for instance like the placement below the buy box, where you don't get there like with a DSP ad, but all of the other ads are mostly like can be one DSP ad or like a sponsored display ad. In general, we see like very good performance with the remarketing campaigns. We don't see that good performance if you just run the sponsored display ads with like the behavioral targetings of Amazon.
All right. I think, yeah, that's it. It's good, more than 1 hour. And before we part ways, I wanted to bring each of your websites and to ask, yeah, what you do. And let's start with Vincenzo. So here is your website. I remember last time we did a webinar, your website had a automatic video playing. Now it's removed, so it's safe to show.
Yes. So yeah, at Ecomcy, we specialize on scaling brands on Amazon and Walmart. So everything when it comes to full account management, that means we take full control of the brand from top to bottom in terms of the PPC, listing optimization, branding, external traffic. We also do DSP. And we also make sure that everything that we do within the brand is with a holistic approach. So not only we specialize on making sure your PPC runs smoothly, but we make sure every single thing that is done within the PPC is synchronized with the things that are done from a copy perspective and branding. So everything comes from loop, and we can successfully scale the brand forward, and in any market, by the way. So we have brands from the US all the way to Japan. So regardless of the market, we can make it happen for you. Yeah.
And you are now tapping into TikTok shop as well?
Yes, so we also do TikTok shop. We're expanding a lot when it comes to that, given the fact that a lot of our brands been asking for presence outside of Amazon. So TikTok shop has been a huge source of traffic to create awareness for our brands in terms of not only from a social commerce perspective and help them generate sales within TikTok platform, but also making sure we help them create awareness that usually that ends up creating search terms exposure for your brand within Amazon itself. So we also help you create a full strategy that TikTok integrate your Amazon brand and also help you scale that forward. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Vincenzo. And now let's talk about Bidix. I think you guys are in the business for many years. I remember we did a demo with you like 7 years ago. You were one of the first Demo Mondays videos, I think.
We built Bidix because we didn't find a solution back then, as we've been selling on Amazon ourselves, to automate bids and budgets and like the whole keyword harvesting process. And I was like so frustrated in like wasting hours every single week in doing these things manually. And it turned out that like in 2016, there were like only analytics APIs. And only in 2017, then Amazon actually released like the infrastructure that enabled third-party developers to build software applications to also like adjust that. And that was the reason why there was none, because like Amazon didn't enable it. And so what we did is like we started building it ourselves, and then we had like one peer company in the States that was like building it at the same time. And then it was like, who's getting it to launch it first? And that was like back in 2017. And a lot has changed over time. Back then it was like auto campaigns, and they just released like match types, and it was like straightforward. It was like sponsored products only. And so everything got like so much more complex, and everything got like so much more expensive. And so what we at Bidix now do we started in 2017, so in over 7 years, is that we leverage automation, we leverage rules combined with an AI. So you stay in control, but you also have the AI running in a backup to really increase your margins and reducing the wasted ad spend by making sure that you don't rank on top with paid and organic search terms, by making sure that we reduce bids and budgets if you sell your products too quickly and you will run out of stock, by checking your bestseller rank. So there are like so many different factors that are improving your ads today and that do have an impact. And we just focused on building the best solution to optimize Amazon ads, and not only on Amazon, but we build it as like a full funnel solution. So if you convert very well at the moment, but you want to generate more incremental sales, then maybe have a look into Amazon DSP and like mid and upper funnel marketing tactics, and also like understand better the behavior of how customers are actually engaging with your brand on Amazon, leveraging data from the Amazon Marketing Cloud. Again, like access to your instance is free. And we have that as a limited offer, I think, until December 7th. And what we see is that you really need to have these rich agnostic insights from all of the different areas to understand the business and to keep it profitable and to keep the margins as they've been like in 2021, 2022, when everything was like cheap and there was so much traffic because local retail stores have been closed. But like 2023, 2024, it was like a much, much harder time for many of our customers. And so we really help them to stay profitable and to help them to keep the margins up.
Good news, there are so many PPC tools now, and now, Max, you don't need to worry on building your own. You can just use somebody else and focus on your Amazon business.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's nice to hear that your team is already 40 plus and you're serving so many Amazon sellers. All right, so thanks a lot for your time, and
thank you for invitation.
Sometime next time.
Thank you,
Bye.
Augustus. Thank you, everybody,
Thank
for
you.
watching.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And now I would like to invite you to watch other video where we talk more about Amazon Q4 and get more tips about Q4 selling in the fourth quarter of the year.